5 political analyst Wendy Patrick. And Wendy, what a morning.
I'll tell you what, it sure was.
It's like neck break speed here to keep up with everything that's going on. Okay, let's talk about Paul Ryan. When that bombshell dropped earlier this morning, everybody's jaw dropped to the floor. What was your reaction when he said, you know what, I'm stepping back, I'm not running again?
Well, you got to think about what that job has been like for Speaker Ryan, right, over the last however long he's had it. It's been very different from some past speakers who have had a different relationship, let's just say, with the current president. But one of the things that I found authentic is his rationale was not unprecedented and not unexpected. Some have even said it's the worst kept secret in Washington that he's been considering a departure. The today being the day, that's a surprise because of all the money he's been raising. He's been doing a lot of work for the party. But the rationale he gave, it's almost hard to argue with when you consider what he's been facing dealing with the Trump administration.
The president tweeted upon his announcement that, oh, Paul Ryan's great. Oh, he's a great speaker. He's a great...
Of course.
I mean, we know that that relationship is contentious at best, right? Did that have anything to do with this decision?
I would say in some portions, yes. I mean, it would be disingenuous to think that it wouldn't have had some impact. But I also have to say that it's hard to argue with not wanting to be a weekend dad. I mean, everybody that has children know it's tough enough to have a job in government when you only have to be home on weekends. You can imagine Speaker Ryan's weekends probably wasn't completely devoted to his family. He's probably getting calls having to do with his job. So wanting to be there for his kids growing up, it's admirable, it's laudable, and one of the things he made in his closing comments is that in serving honorably, he also needs to serve honestly. And that has to do with the reason he gave for wanting to leave.
Okay. All due respect here. Are you buying that excuse? How many times have we heard politicians and other people of note, when they get into something or they don't want to do it anymore, they say, oh, I'm going to go home and it to become a joke, to spend more time with my family?
I do buy it, and here's why,
How is this legitimate?
It's legitimate, I think, and I'm sure there are lots of listeners that might disagree with me, but following Paul Ryan's career over the years, including when he was Mitt Romney's running mate, he's always placed a priority on his family and wanting to make sure he makes the right decision on behalf of his family. So his consistency throughout the years in really valuing family first lends credibility to the explanation he gave this morning.
But had he won that election with Mitt Romney, that would have been potentially 8 years of vice president. That doesn't qualify with what he's saying now.
Well, remember, it's a different time. And one
I
of
hate
the
to
things
nitpick on this, but...
No, and I'm sure you're not the only one that's looking at, you know, is this really the reason, or is he actually going to run for something else? He did qualify his remarks, Raul, which may make both positions correct. He did say he wanted to be there as kids are teenagers. He wanted to be there and not just a weekend dad. But when they're gone and when he has more time, it's not saying he's going to rule out a future in politics. That may be exactly his plan. Yeah,
when he was talking about honesty and all this stuff, he basically honorably and honestly, he was talking about the elections coming up. It's going to be difficult for Republicans come November. Does this give more time for somebody else to take over that seat? Can the Democrats take over the House of Representatives? What's going to happen down the line?
Well, that's what everybody is looking at, is there have been far more Republicans deciding not to seek re-election than Democrats. And if you look at that imbalance going forward, absolutely right, the Democrats could make a retake here. And that's got to be something that weighed heavily on him, because that's not what he wants. But family first, that was the theme of his comments, and he wouldn't even let an imbalance of power in Congress really get in the way of that decision, which he articulated very well.
We'll do family first. We'll give it to him today because he just announced it, but put an asterisk next to that when in a couple of months he makes whatever announcement for something else. That's been, you know, that's been the trend for politicians. Let's talk about who's going to replace him. They're already throwing the majority whip, Steve Scalise, who, by the way, was just moments ago talking to Mark Zuckerberg. And also Kevin McCarthy from here in California, Bakersfield area. Who's the next Speaker of the House?
Well, you know, they're both very good choices. People seem to think that Kevin McCarthy stands a better chance. Probably, if he wants it, it may be his. But let's see what else happens. You know, it's very sudden. But I do have to say that even though it is sudden, because it's been described as the worst kept secret in Washington, both Steve Scalise and Kevin McCarthy probably are ready with their talking points.
They're waiting, and they have their armies of people.
In the wings. That's right.
Is Paul Ryan going to run for president against Donald Trump?
Well, his kids aren't going to be young forever. They'll be out of the house, and maybe he'll be in position. Wouldn't that
Can you imagine?
I hope I'm right back here talking about that if it happens.
Wendy Patrick, I'm going to just keep you over here in the corner and just
I'll
bring
be ready.
Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.